Hey everybody, welcome to the Ordinary Professor, where we talk about social skills, emotional intelligence, and all things feelings. If you're joining me for the first time, welcome. This is a space that we can learn together. Okay, today I'm talking about how to manage people that are a little socially off, right? So everyone has their moments, like, right? I can be socially awkward anytime, any day. But I'm talking about the people that can difficulty reading a room, taking in cues, talk over others. Yeah, Bill, I'm talking about you. Just kidding. Okay, so here's what I would recommend. So in a group, I'll go through group settings, then I'll go on through one-on-ones, and then other weird situations. Okay, so in group settings, so if it's someone that is constantly asking questions, constantly interrupting, there's a few things you can do. So I'll talk about my tips. First, it's establishing that one-on-one and being like, okay, hey Bill, let's just have a conversation. I've noticed in the meetings or during class, you often interrupt or ask questions, and I love the participation. I love your insights. But I just want to know, how can we let other people in the room kind of chime in, or how can we give them the space to process or think, or what can I do so that I can get to your questions but also give others a chance to speak? So that's one. Now, it's establishing that awareness for them to be like, hey, so sometimes you're taking up too much room, and that's not that I want to dismiss you, but I also want to give other people space. Now, the next thing you're going to do is figure out how you can support them and how you can redirect. The redirection is critical. The redirection is really important. So you can say, okay, so let's take Bill again, for example. So Bill, when in class, sometimes you ask a lot of questions, or you get confused, or things, it's hard to follow. And so I do want to make sure that I'm addressing that so that you can follow along in class or during my training. But I want to know how I can help you so that you are moving along with the group, but I'm moving the group along through the content, through the training, through class. So having that one-on-one and how I can redirect you is important. Now I'm going to teach you about transition statements if you don't have those conversations, how you redirect. So say Bill is talking and have a question and raising their hand or just jumping in. So be like, okay, Bill, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to address that in a minute. I'm just going to go back and I'm going to ask Riley right over here what they thought. I want to get to him, and then I'll come back to you, and you make sure you come back. If it's a question that's totally out of context, right? Not on the agenda, not even the content for the week for class, you can say, that's a great question. It's not what we have on our agenda today, so I'm going to put it to the side and I'll come back to it, and then we can assess this, or we can come back to it later. So acknowledging the question and then telling them where you're putting it to come back to it. If it's something that it's just specific to that person, being like, Bill, that's a great question. I hear you. Let me get everyone worked on their new activity, the new case study, if you're in class, or if it's like a meeting or training. Let me get everybody settled into what they're working on, and we'll come back and I'll have a one-on-one really quick with you, is another way. So what you want to do, so all these strategies of transition statement is one, addressing the person directly, stopping the behavior. So addressing and stop. I'm going to stop you right here. I think this is a great question, and I want to get back to it, but I need to get to this. Thank you for asking that question. That's very important. We're going to get to it later. So addressing the question, being grateful and thankful and not dismissing it, but then putting it where it's supposed to go. Is it supposed to be later? Is it totally a one-on-one answer? Or is it something that's you're not going to get to and you need to table that? That's critical. Now, if someone keeps interrupting or oversharing, right? So let's say Mikey just loves to share their stories during the meeting, or Mikey just likes to talk in class. And sometimes the stories go on and they're slightly off topic. Okay, so we've had those people in the meetings and also in class. So here's what you do. Hey, Mikey, before you get started, this sounds like a great story, and I do want to talk about it, but let me get through the instructions first. Let me get through the goals of our agenda, and then we can, during our break, let me look at your watch, during our break, we'll get to your story. But I think it's going to be great, but we're just going to table that. So redirection, okay? Now, if it's multiple times over and over, being like, hey, Mikey, I got to stop you. We're short on time, and I know everyone wants to get on. I know you want to get out of here on time. So we're going to table that conversation, and we can talk about it later, okay? So using time as a resource to redirect can be really powerful. Now, if the person is constantly interrupting and asking questions, and you don't have time to have that one-on-one and be like, hey, how can I support you? How can I redirect you? You're going to be like, okay, so I see, Mikey, you have a ton of questions, and you also, you mentioned, so using their words, you mentioned you were a little confused, so why don't I get everyone started and I'll come back to you, right? And if the questions I feel like are good for the group, I'll bring them back to the group. So that's a way. Lastly, if someone is really difficult, right? Not because they're a difficult person, but they either interrupt you a lot, like they deregulate the group, they are not aware of their social like challenges, or they're not quite aware of what they're sharing and what not sharing, that can be hard. So you got to work on yourself as a facilitator, as a professor, as a trainer, as an executive coach. You need to take that time to like get it together. I'm going to give you a trick. It's like so silly. So I have hand sanitizer like in my bags all the time. And so what I'll do is, because I walk around in my classrooms during my trainings, and so what I do is I always have that bottle. And when someone is being really difficult, challenging for me, and sometimes it's not they're socially off, they're just, we'll just call them like, they're not nice people. And so I just go, okay, thanks, Avery, for that question. I'll get to you 1 second. And then I go like this. Spray some hand sanitizer, then I wipe. And close my eyes, take a deep breath in and out. Oh, I just regulated myself, and all it looks like is I just sanitized my hands. Boom, okay? So it's kind of like some of my strategies for regulation. It's called the sanitizer move. No one knows why I have so many sanitizers in my bag. It's because I'm constantly regulating myself, because I got a lot of Bills and a lot of Averys and a lot of Mikeys in my class, my facilitation, and some of the work I do. Because I work in a space where I teach social skill classes. I teach supervision. I'm an executive coach, and I do anti-violence, anti-harassment work in schools, the workplace, anti-bullying. Like, so I work with all the peoples. So I have a lot of experience when it comes to that, and these are things that work for me. Now, lastly, work on transitioning yourself so that you don't deregulate, because sometimes it can be really like frustrating where you're just like, please just stop, like just let me get through the thing. Like and you just can't do that. So what you can say is like, okay, why don't we take a break? We're going to give you 5 minutes. So that gives you 5 minutes, right? Sometimes if things aren't working out and I'm constantly struggling, in my class they'll be like, okay, so we're having some technical challenges right now, so maybe 5 minutes, you get to scroll on your phone. Everybody get your phones out and let's just scroll, right? And everyone, obviously they love it, they're on their phones, right? At work, I'll be like, if there's a training, I'll be like, okay, 5 minutes, everyone check their emails, so that I can regulate myself. I'll be like, I feel like, and I always watch, I feel like it's time for a break. If I feel like I'm not moving to the pace of the group, or I'm being challenged by someone, and I need to check myself, because you don't want to be rocked by a classroom or rocked by a group. So this is a facilitator training tip I used to give. To be rocked by a group means that you got hooked somewhere and you can't get over it. Like, you're just like thinking about what the person said, what they did, and now you're just like either targeting that person or totally dismissing that person. So that's not helpful for group facilitation, either for classroom. It doesn't create psychological safety or inclusion. So when you get hooked or you're getting rocked, you need to pause and reset. The way you do that is like, okay, even if your training's 2 hours and they're like, the client's like, no break, or your class be like, 2 hours, you have time for a 2 to 5 minutes. Okay, we're gonna give you 2 to 5. Everyone's doing some great work right now. And so it gives you time to regulate. What you do in that 5 minutes is you go find a doorway, right? You take your hand sanitizer and you spray, you sniff, and you walk through that doorway so that you reset yourself. Because as you walk through the doorway, what you're gonna say to yourself is like, as I walk through this doorway, I let go of what's getting to me and I start fresh. Or you come out with ever mantra intention. Like, usually if I walk through the doorway, is like, as I walk through this doorway, I am calm as a cucumber. Boom. And so you can use hand sanitizer or door. There's always a doorway at a training or in a class, right? So those are the easiest things. And because you're using body, mind, and self-talk, you can regulate yourself really fast. Because the thing that is the most challenging is when a professor gets deregulated, a facilitator, an HR professional. People don't forget that. that becomes your label and your reputation. And I don't want that for you. So these are some simple tips. So let me start to recap everything. Okay, working with challenging people, have a one-on-one, figure out how I can support you, how do I redirect you. Number 2, have transition statements ready to like kind of jump in and navigate so you can get to your goals and your content. Number 3, when you get hooked, give a break. Don't get rocked by your group. And number 5, have some type of tools like hand sanitizer or doorway to reset yourself, okay? But the best thing is practicing your transition statements. I have been, even in the past few years, I've seen how more skilled I've been because I've been practicing and practicing and practicing. Where I will, when someone asks a good question, I look away, be like, that's a great question. I'm resetting myself because I'm like, I don't know. I just answered that, right? Now, if someone is being challenging and disrespectful, that's slightly different. I don't want to go too much over time because I just started a recap, but this came to my mind. I had a challenging incident in a classroom where a student was being disrespectful, and I don't think they knew it, but it was like laughing, and I had just answered that question, and they asked it again, and they were like, whoa, 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 and I was like, okay, so what I did, so just to tell you as a professor, is even a facilitator, the group was sitting, I was sitting down, and the student was, the tone and the way they addressed me was inappropriate and just like not something anyone wants to be treated by. So I said, when the whoa, whoa, whoa came, I stood up. I said, I'm going to clarify something for you right now. We had talked about this, and since I just answered the question, I'll repeat it to make sure that everyone is clear. And I got everyone's attention. So there's a few things that I did in that moment. So 1, I stood up to like readdress the power. 2, I used a stern, I wasn't yelling, just a stern tone of like, no, it's not okay to whoa, whoa me. No one should be whoa, whoa'd. And 3rd, I had just literally answered that question and explained the rationale and then asked it. So that was on that participant's part that didn't listen. That's not on me. That's not a me thing. And that's not something I'm going to hold on to. And then after I answered the question, I turned to the person. I'm like, does that make sense? And they kind of looked at me like, so I just want to be clear, like, is there any further questions on this? And I sat with silence. And so that's a difficult redirection strategy, but it was needed because we have to redirect the disrespect right away in a classroom, in a meeting. Like, no one should be whoa-whoa'd. And one of the tricks I teach in my anti-bullying and anti-violence courses is to reestablish power, you stand up immediately. And you just say something. You don't get mad. I mean, I wasn't upset. I was just like, whoa, hold on. Like, we're not going to talk to each other like that. That's not okay with me. And it was fine. It ended. It wasn't this. I'm not saying that it was the participant's fault. It was just maybe they have addressed people like that in the past, and that was fine. But I wouldn't want to be addressed like that. I don't want anyone to get in the habit as I'm facilitating a group to be addressed like that. So that's kind of my closing thing when that's a little more difficult and finesse to go through. But I hope this is helpful. So if you like what I have to say, please subscribe and ask me questions. Like, what do you need help with? I'm here. Let me see if I can come up with a tool or a strategy for you, okay? I'll see you next Thursday and have a great night. Thanks. Oh, maybe a great evening. Or maybe, a great day. Whatever you have, just make it great. You've got this.